This is our Visualising Societies presentation by Rosie, Alice, Jessie, Maisy and Naomi. We chose to find data visualizations on the topic of the 2016 US election race, primarily between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. We wanted to find several different forms of visualization in order to compare the positives and negatives of each form. The first data visualization we studied is from the BBC website, and it shows a predicted percentage of votes for each candidate through the months from June until election day on November the 8th. The visualization has both positive and negative points about it. The use of bright contrasting colours make it eye-catching for the audience, and the images make it clearer and more appealing, and the BBC has made this visualization easy to read through the use of simple axes and percentages. However, it doesn't have a title or labels or units on the axes. There also doesn't seem to be a reason why the x-axis starts in June, which is in the middle of the year. The y-axis also starts at 35 and not at 0. And finally, as well as the lack of labels and a title, there isn't a key for the colours used. It's just assumed that the audience will know that red is the colour of Trump's party, the Republicans, and blue is Clinton's, the Democrats. Figure 2 is a map with a bar chart showing the US presidential election results in 2016. There is an official key at the top of the map which is colour-coded, which makes it easy for the audience to see what proportion of that state voted for either Clinton or Trump. Another positive aspect is that the states are labelled with their initials, although this only includes the initials of the state. There is no key for this, and not everyone will know every state. The bar chart at the bottom shows the number of electoral votes and popular votes, which adds to the map as it makes it slightly clearer for the audience to understand. Lastly, I think the main positive about this data visualization is the fact that it's a map, as it makes it easy to understand and interpret the information, and it's more appealing. On the other hand, the map doesn't say how many electoral votes there were per state. It would make it easier to understand, and it should do this by putting the number of electoral votes on each of the states. This chart comes from Roper Center, Cornell University, and it compares certain groups of voters in 2016 to those in 2012 in areas such as gender and age. The strengths of this visualization include a clear title and key in which to follow, which is important to a visualization as it's the key to understanding the information. It also looks at all elements which influence the vote. Few of the charts show this, and for that it's more interesting as it determines what type of people are more likely to vote Democrats or Republicans. The overall percentage of electorate is shown, and thus gives us an idea of an average of votes. The comparison between the 2012 and 2016 election is interesting, as it shows how social norms have changed and also their influence on politics. Although this visualization is very detailed, it also has some flaws in the amount of information given. An example of this is that the age category is not in numerical order, as 65 and over is before 45 to 64. There is the same type of flaw in the income category. And the last weakness of this chart is that the 2012 figures and 2016 figures can get easily confusing. This is a live presidential forecast, and it's a very advanced chart which has a number of different columns such as state, estimate percentage of votes, reported margin, etc. This makes it clear for us as an audience to know what each column stands for, otherwise without a column title this would be unclear. The chart is well colour-coded. For example, blue is showing Clinton and red is for Trump. However, there is no official key showing this. The chart is successful in showing what estimated percentage of votes from each state were for Clinton and Trump. For example, New Mexico were estimated to vote 100% for Clinton. It also shows the estimated total of electoral votes for each of them, 233 for Clinton and 305 for Trump. However, some of the columns could be labelled more clearly. For instance, there are columns labelled plus 2%, plus 4%, and so on. How do we know what this is supposed to mean? This graph includes more than just what is shown on the screen. If you click on, for example, Florida, it gives you more information such as vote margin, and also shows the other two candidates, Johnson and Stein, and the estimated number of votes they would receive. This is the data visualization showing the likely electoral outcome shown by the New York Times. Before the data visualization is a brief summary of what it is showing. This is useful as it gives the audience an element of understanding, as if they looked at the chart without knowing this, they might not know what it's showing. This chart is very simple, but it has an X and Y axis and a few lines to represent data on it. Both axes begin from 0, which is good as it shows the lowest possible number of votes that could be given. However, the y-axis only goes to 70% and could carry on to 100. Therefore, there could be data beyond this, but it isn't shown in this visualization. The x and y-axes aren't labelled, therefore we don't know what the numerical information shown is actually telling us. There is no comparison between the number of votes for each candidate, therefore how are we meant to know who won the election? And finally, the chart shows a brief comparison between electoral votes needed and the most likely outcome of electoral votes. Overall, our group came to the unified decision that Figure 3 is the best data visualization as it includes a range of information as well as drawing attention to the audience through its use of bright contrasting colours and easy to read axes, title and key. This shows our input graph showing what each member of the team has contributed to the task. And finally, this is our bibliography that shows the 5 sources we have used in our presentation.